Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're in the mood for some more great, inspiring conversation, great entertainment, and everything we can deliver in content form on our series we call the Jim Masters Show Live. I happen to be your host, Jim Masters. That makes sense since we call it the Jim Masters Show Live. Thanks for all the lovely gang. You guys are absolutely amazing. You've been sharing the YouTube episode links on all of your social media. We've been seeing and noticing that, and we thank you so very much. That helps our series continue to blossom, grow, expand, and reach more and more people when you do that. Thanks for all the Instagram messages, the private tweets, the sharing of the links on Twitter as well, and also on Facebook. You guys really are outstanding. We have the best audience out there, viewers who really knock my socks off all the time. You guys just astound me. And I think it's really beautiful. We've created such a great community here of, as we call, lovity, right? That's a word that just popped out of my mouth. I say it every show for those that are watching for the very first time. So it's a cool word to hear bandied around here at the Jim Masters Show Live, or as you guys have dubbed this, Lovity Hall, which is really nice. And hope your day's going well. We just had a show about a half hour ago. If you didn't see that episode, we had a show at earlier in the day. This is, again, I'm talking to the folks watching live right now because we have a live audience. 4:30, we had an epic conversation with the stars and creators of Jade and Jaded, that new epic comedy web series that's up for primetime, maybe consideration. If you didn't see that episode, do a little rewind and binge watch. You can binge watch over, I think it's up to 700 episodes just about of our series designed to put smiles on your faces and connect us all around the world. So if you were with us earlier and you're with us now, we thank you so very, very much. We always have a good time here. We always do what we can to, connect with our audience on levels that are a little bit deeper. Now, if you would like to connect with us now, you have an opportunity to do that. When you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the channel you're watching right now, you just click that red button you see there. There's no cost for that. Click that button and you'll be part of our lovely squad, lovely family, and lets us know you're enjoying what we're doing. But also it keeps you abreast of all the episodes, the specials, the guests, and so much more. Don't forget to click the notification bell. What's that? It's a little bell icon that's sitting right there next to that red subscribe button. Click that so that way you get alerts about all of our episodes so you never miss anything, because I know a lot of you like to join us when the show is live so you can participate in the action, and we invite and welcome you to do that. If you would like to be a part of our JMS chat room, I can see the comments coming in, a lot of comments, and thank you for those. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and you can actually participate live right now in our JMS live chat room. If you don't want to participate in the JMS live chat room, still subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be part of all the action. And it also helps us grow and expand what we're doing here. And you can leave a comment on the actual YouTube channel. We encourage you to do that. And also give all the episodes you love a hearty thumbs up. Yes, there's a thumbs up button there too. There's a lot of cool things on the YouTube channel. Thumbs up sign kind of look like this, I would say. Yeah, it looks like that. Give it a up there, and we appreciate that. And leave a comment for us on the channel. Hey, we've got an amazing guest coming in from New York City. It's like New York City Day because our previous guests also were coming in from the Big Apple. Charles West, extraordinary life coach, hypnotherapist, a corporate wellness coach, and famed Broadway actor too, and model, and so much more. Yeah, he's transitioned from Broadway acting and lots more to really going deep with his life. And there's a whole backstory. You're going to be incredibly inspired by his journey, by his story. And he's joining us here on the Jim Masters Show live in just a second from New York City. Again, we welcome all of you. Thanks for being with us. It means a great deal that you're taking time out of your day to join us live or watch this in the archives, because we do archive all the episodes on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. All right, let's tell you a little bit about our fantastic guests. We'll show and sprinkle in some of the comments that you guys are making throughout the show. If you'd like to go the extra mile, super chat, super emoji, super stickers. If this show sparks you in any way that helps support our series, you can do that during the live show, or you can do super thanks as well. Charles is an extraordinary life coach. He's president and founder of Divine Spark Coaching. certified Rapid Transformational Hypnotherapist, inspirational public speaker, corporate wellness coach as well. And for over 17 years, Charles had studied and implemented transformational spiritual principles that have changed not only his life, but the lives of many people who've had the pleasure of working with him. He has supported people from all walks of life, helped them build their dreams, accelerate their results, and create richer and more meaningful lives. Looking back at what got Charles to where he is now, it's quite a journey back to the northern suburbs of Chicago, where young Charlie was a shy, harshly bullied, and extremely inhibited boy. But he was also quite musically talented, and he was the only boy in fifth and sixth grades chorus and was already a baritone. He became proficient on the piano and string bass, and knew that singing was really his calling. And whether it was impersonating Elvis Presley or playing Freddie in the My Fair Lady, West Side Story, playing Tony, Charles always loved pouring every ounce of his heart and soul and soaring baritone voice into the roles he played. He moved to New York City in the spring of 1993 after seeing the touring production of Miss Saigon in Chicago. He'd never been to New York City and knew no one there, but moved to New York City with all his belongings in a cardboard box or two, and slept on a friend's sofa, a friend of a friend, not even a friend of a friend's sofa, until he found a sublet on the Upper East Side. He showed up at the right time in the right place because he booked a European tour, West Side Story, within just a couple of weeks. He left that tour and made his Broadway debut. This is really cool. In Cyrano the Musical at the Neil Simon Theater in the fall. In the summer of 94, he did another tour of West Side Story in Europe, and early 95 joined the very same national tour of Miss Saigon that inspired his move to New York City. The marvelous tour closed in Vancouver 1.5 years later, and Charles came back to New York City, living in Greenwich Village near the Hudson River. His next show was the Scarlet Pimpernel, yes, at Minskoff Theater. And during the run of that show, Charles was selected to be a part of an ad campaign for Jockey underwear that became a hugely prominent billboard in Times Square for 10 months. And on the Broadway Jockey billboard, Charles was one of 7 Broadway performers appearing in costume from their respective shows, but with their pants dropped and proudly supporting Jockey underwear. What a hoot. Now, we're going to tell you the rest because in the fall of 2001, while watching the Today Show with Kitty Couric, that's when they announced what happened with the World Trade Center. And he went to his bedroom to change his clothes and in order to go outside, see what's happening. And he witnessed one of the towers unfortunately collapse. And I'm going to leave it there because I want him to really share this story. This is just a little bit of an idea of how epic this conversation is going to be on many different levels, talking about his extraordinary, career on Broadway and in other forms of the arts, but also this transformation to being somebody empowering and inspiring and a life coach as well. And it's really a cool story. He's coming to us live from New York City. If this is your first time watching, gang, thanks for being with us. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Why don't you join me as we welcome our very special guest, Charles West, coming to us live from NYC. Charles, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's an honor to have you here as well, especially with that spiffy jacket. Look at that, huh? Only the best.
Human. Thank you. Thank you.
That is cool. That is cool. That's right. Dressing up the situation with lots of JMS levity. How are you today? I know it's, we're living in crazy times. We've all had to adapt, change, and sort of reposition our lives in many different ways and reprogram and reboot. How about you? How have you been doing?
It's been quite a journey. It's been a real journey. Some of it's been really hard, honestly. I mean, I am blessed. I am grateful. I have got so much that is going well. And, honestly, there's still sometimes that it's really hard.
Yeah.
But I am doing great. Because thank goodness I've been in the business of really tending to my own emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being for enough years now. I mean, You mentioned 9/11. The trauma of 9/11 is not the same as, some of the situations that people are going through these days. But because I went through that, came out the other side of that, I've been able to not only tend to my own wellness, but also be of support to others.
See, that's a beautiful thing, right? That's absolutely a beautiful thing. Let's step back. I've talked about this extraordinary career that you've had on stage and so much more. You really sought out your passion and lived it, but it also goes back even deeper early on when you were a kid. I mentioned that there was bullying and you were not feeling worthy and a lot of different things that a lot of kids we see struggling with now today coming to the front and center. What was the atmosphere for you growing up there in the suburbs of Chicago? And what are some of the things in terms of the experiences you've had that have shaped you into who you are today? Tell us a little bit about that backstory, my
Sure
friend.
thing. Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful that I did have an enormous amount of love from my parents in my home. That was solid. But early on, the church that I was raised in was a very fundamental church on the northern side of Chicago. And I can recall little 5-year-old, 6-year-old Charlie sitting in the pew at church and hearing the preachers, speak to the congregation about this vengeful and punishing, angry God, and that God killed Jesus because of our sins, and it just really, really, I didn't understand at the time. It really traumatized me.
Mm.
And being a little boy, I mean, you're not really allowed to speak your feelings, right?
It was
And
a different time. Yeah.
right. And I'm so grateful that these days, yep, there's Charlie. There's Charlie right there. I look back on photos. I'd say he was maybe 9 or 10 years old right then.
Is
I,
he a happy boy there?
nope, nope. He never could smile with his teeth. You can really feel the sadness behind his eyes, right? He was scared. He was really, really scared, and I have so much compassion for him. He went through a lot, and if he was 9 or 10 years there, 4 years later, if you were a young gay kid growing up in the Chicago area, there was Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy, not too far away from where I lived, and it traumatized me as well. That because I thought, well, I guess am I doomed? Am I next? Am I going to get? Is this going to happen to me? And again, I couldn't really understand that I hadn't done anything wrong, right? I hadn't done anything wrong. Hi, Merlin. Thank you. It's just that I didn't know any better and I didn't have the ability to speak my truth. It was Jim, it was really confusing and really painful for me at the time because even as this young kid, I always had the voice to sing with, but I didn't have the voice to speak with. And that was really confusing and really, really painful. You could give me a song to sing, put me on a stage. I was great.
Yeah.
Give me a role to play, even as a young kid in 8th grade.
Playing somebody else, taking on another persona.
That's right. But as far as Charlie, I didn't know who I was.
Mm.
And this little kid that you're all looking at right now stayed inside of me and was still at the core of my being when I was in the Scarlet Pimpernel, when I was doing the fitness modeling, when I was on that billboard in Times Square.
He was still inside you.
11, the way I responded, and I understand this now, the way that I reacted to the trauma of 9/11
Yeah.
is as if this little Charlie was still running the show.
Mm. How
And
did you keep him in check? How did you suppress him? How did you keep him away from others discovering that he was still inside you? There must have been a lot of hard work to mask that.
it wasn't something that I was conscious of at all. It's just that, I moved to New York when I was 29 years old. And as you shared in part of my bio, I mean, I showed up here and I was doing the thing. I mean, I was
dove right in. Yeah.
I showed up at the right time at the right place, and I was booking one show after another, after another, after another. But Jim, the more success I achieved, the more this heavy burden of unworthiness weighed upon me. And it was literally by the time the Scarlet Pimpernel closed, and then I had a little bit of time off, and then 9/11 happened, the burden of that was really literally crushing me.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't a conscious thing that I was doing to try to like to mask it.
Yeah.
But I will also, you know, share, you know, I'm an open book, and I'm so grateful that, you know, I don't really carry any shame at all or guilt about any of the things that I've been through, especially as long as any parts of my journey can be of help to even one person out there, one person who may be watching this show right now, if you identify with any of the things that I might be saying. So, I mean, Jim, I was going from West Side Story in Europe to Cyrano the Musical on Broadway, another production of West Side Story, to Miss Saigon, to the Scarlet Pimpernel. Oh, a production of My Fair Lady down in Texas at Theater Under the Stars. I was studying. And I became so identified with the roles that I was playing. Now, and actually, I want to offer a little something to not only to you, but to all of our viewers right now as well.
The Lovities, yeah.
The Lovities, yes. So Lovities, I want you to, whoever you are in your day to day, whatever it is you do, whether you are a mom and you stay at home, whether you are a dental hygienist, whether you are in TV and film, or whatever it is you do, when we become so identified with the roles that we play, whatever stage we may be appearing on, whether it's an actual stage or not, or sitting behind a microphone, right? But we haven't tended to our own emotional wellness, somewhere along the line, there's prices to pay.
Catches up. Yeah.
It catches up. And it really did for me, for sure.
When did that happen? When was that epiphany moment? Were you in a public space? Were you quiet, you know, in a private space? When did it all sort of bubble up and you just couldn't suppress it anymore?
Do you have a picture of the billboard that you could share?
Yeah, I sure do. Yes.
Yeah. If you would, bring that up real quick. Okay. See that guy on the right with the long blue waistcoat and the boxer briefs? That's me back in 1998. And that's the billboard that ran. It was this huge billboard right across the street from when MTV Studios was right there in Times Square. And whenever Request Live was on, you would see that.
TRL, Carson Daly, yep.
Scarlet Pimpernel, where I was, which is where The Lion King has been all these years since then, was right across the street. So get this.
So this was in Times Square, the big jockey ad, Broadway jockey with other players, performers from Broadway.
Yes, I would either go out onto the sidewalk below the billboard, or I would stand in the big, huge windowed mezzanine of the Minskoff Theater. And I would gaze at this billboard. And it was really confusing, and it was really painful, because here I was in another Broadway show, having this really incredible opportunity to be on this billboard.
Yeah.
And the voice that was resounding inside my head was, "You're not worthy of this, Charles." So many people were excited that I was on this billboard.
Did you feel like a fake? You were faking, like you were just playing a role?
I sure did. Hey, Jim, what I ended up doing, you can drop the picture now if you want.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is I stood out on the sidewalk, and I would look up at that billboard, and I would have silent conversations, internal conversations with the billboard version of myself. I would look up at him, and I would internally say to him, how do you look so confident, bold, and dashing like that? Charles, don't feel that way at all. I feel like a total fraud. You look so bodacious. You look like you got it all going on. And he would respond back to me, young man, Charles, don't you know what's your problem, darling? Don't you know that you are allowed to celebrate being up here on this billboard? This is the most incredible thing that's ever happened to us. And I would be like, but the Charles that I was would search within, and I couldn't reconcile it. And finally, the words that burst out of my heart silently were, but I don't know how to love myself.
Mm.
I don't know how to love myself. And
did you have people around while you're in the big city coming from the Midwest with the Midwestern sensibility all around you, and here you are in New York? Were there people there, friends or any family or anybody in the immediate area you could turn to? Or did you feel like you are doing these wonderful things on stage and everything else, but quietly on an island unto yourself?
That, because I was still young Charlie.
From the Midwest.
I was still carrying around the wounded little child. And he was running the show.
Yeah.
And then when 9/11 happened a couple of years later, he really self-destructed.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what was it? Well, we all have our stories about it because it was so extraordinary.
Right.
We all remember where we were, and growing up in the New York area myself, there were a couple of people that there's a kid I knew since elementary school that perished in the North Tower, 95th floor, and he'd just been promoted, 5-year-old daughter, and plane entered the North Tower first, gone. So all these different stories, but what was it for you about that incredible event that we still talk about today that hit you so hard, that sort of brought this to bear and to the forefront?
It suffocated me emotionally.
Did you feel helpless? You couldn't help?
Completely helpless.
Yeah.
I was suffocating, not just from the dust that actually was in the air.
Yeah.
It was because that was.
Were you living down towards the area, the Lower East
I was in
Side?
a village, a half
You
a
were in
block
the
away
village.
from the Hudson River.
So you were
And
still there. Yeah.
right. When I heard Katie Couric announce it, I stepped out onto the balcony that was looking up diagonally up the West Side Highway.
Yeah.
And I saw a whole bunch of people congregated outside looking downtown, horrified.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, oh man, I need to get out. I need to find out what's going on.
Something's going on big time. Yeah.
Right.
So that really brought it all to the forefront. Probably, I know we and my family too, we identified with the people that were searching for their loved ones too. It makes you think about people that have passed away in your own family and people that you care about that are no longer here. And they're showing photos on screen. Can you find my sister, my mother, my brother, my husband, my wife, my daughter, my father, my friend, my colleague? Do you know where they are? That was incredibly difficult to witness and see, because if you are a person who likes to run towards the fire versus away from it, and to not be able to help, it's very claustrophobic in certain ways, and you just got to run with it, ride with what's going on. But for you, that was a monumental situation. So we'll sort of step back a little bit and we'll show and talk about some of the things that you were doing prior to all of that happening. And you can tell us about this, again, this epic career, Broadway, off Broadway, the whole bit. And then we'll take us up to this level of where this big aha moment happened. Like when you see this photo, tell us about this. What comes to mind for you here?
Oh, well, Scarlett Pimpernel.
Yeah,
And
on Broadway.
And here I am. My dance partner was Maureen Jahan, who you should have her on your show, perhaps. Remember
That'd be
in
fantastic. Yeah.
Flashdance, Jennifer Beals, does the flash dance number, pulls the water down on her. It was actually her.
She did it for,
She was the
yeah.
dance double. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so here I was. I mean, but you can kind of even look in my face and look deeply into my own eyes. Nobody's home. Like really, really, the connection between the voice that I had,
Yeah.
the physicality and the six pack that I actually had underneath this costume, these incredible costumes by Paul Huntley. Nobody was home. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Nobody was home.
Yeah. Just you're just a character. You could be a mannequin there.
Yeah.
Yeah. A mannequin. An
Yeah.
incredible. So do you think being on Broadway in the Scarlet Pimpernel, do you think you fully felt the experience and the awe-inspiring experience that it was to be in that production on Broadway at that time? Or do you feel like you missed out on some of the joy of it because of everything that was happening underneath inside you?
Ooh, what a question. That is a really, really good question. Both, honestly, really both. I felt the gratitude. I felt the excitement. I felt the enthusiasm as much as I could possibly at the moment. Was I able to fully embrace the whole experience? I mean, not being the wounded guy that I was internally at that time. I mean, how I really truly didn't know who I was. I had a particular look. I had a certain amount of charisma, and the voice to be able to sing truly just about anything, but in terms of really being able to, like, if I were the Charles then that I am now, it's a totally different thing. It's a totally different ball game, right? Totally different game.
Do you almost wish you could relive that, or you're good with it in that space and that time? That was then, that was a part of your life. You can leave it there and go forward.
I mean, because honestly, I have zero regrets. I
Which
mean,
is good.
even the most devastating experiences that I've ever had in my life, I
Yeah.
really don't have any regrets. And
Yeah.
in terms of actually being a singer and a performer, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not done. And I actually discovered in 2019, and just to bump forward just, a little bit for just a moment, when I was invited to be a part of the world premiere of Hercules,
Mhm.
the musical Hercules, and then did the off-Broadway musical of Only Human. I discovered, because by then I had Divine Spark coaching up and running and I was busy. But then I booked these shows. And then I thought, well, do I have to make a choice here? And I
Yeah.
discovered I didn't. It wasn't either or, it was both and. It was both and. So these days, there's not a whole lot for me to audition for. I mean, I did do a self-tape video this last weekend that I sent to my agents, and, haven't heard anything yet. But, so I will always be a singer and a performer, and who knows what the universe has in store for more roles to play.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, I'm really, really grateful that I do have Divine Spark.
Which is really, really fantastic. Again, it's amazing that that divine spark happened within you to create it. I want to show a few more incredible things here along the way. Look at this.
Yeah. Elvis Presley. Uh-huh.
How did that get started?
Oh my goodness. Well, that was at Marriott's Great America. Actually, Six Flags, before it even became
Six
Marriott.
Flags.
Six
Yeah.
Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. I was 19 or 20 years old at the time, and so I got to impersonate Elvis Presley in the show and sing Blue Suede Shoes. It was fantastic. That was really, really fun. I can say that was really, really fun to do.
Had you been a fan of his as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom and dad, my mom would play Sammy Davis Jr.,
Mm,
Presley, Tom Jones, Frank Sinatra, a
sure.
lot of like big band jazz, early rock and roll music in the house.
So a lot of music in the house growing up, which also inspired you then early on.
Yeah.
What do you think did inspire you initially back then to go into the arts and to go
Oh,
into performance?
well, so I have three older siblings, and um, in the church that I was raised in, there was a camp called Wisconsin Christian Youth Camp in Black River Falls, Wisconsin, and we would go on road trips. And my dad would drive, my mom would be in the front, and the four kids would be in the back, and we would be singing campfire songs. And I can still remember right now, I can still hear the harmonies in my head. My mom with her beautiful soprano voice on the top, my sister on the alto line, my brother Ray on the tenor line. My dad and my brother Joe would kind of float around, and here I was much younger. I was the youngest in my family by 7 years. So my siblings are 7, 10, and 12 years older than me. But the memories of like going on those road trips and sitting around the campfire at camp and singing like One Tin Soldier, or like Simon and Garfunkel songs and stuff like that, were really, really dear to me. And so then when I got into um, fourth grade, I started studying the piano, and my mom and dad were always really, really supportive. I played the string bass for
Mhm.
several years, but I got to tell you, when I got to my public high school, which where the bullying had really already started in grade school, it continued
Mhm.
a lot. But my high school voice teacher, Mrs. Elizabeth Karowski in Mundelein, Illinois, was a godsend to me.
Mm.
She was a safe space for me that, and we're still friends. I mean, I love her so much. I could go into my lessons with her, whether it was at the school, or she also invited me to come and have lessons at her home in Mundelein. And my dad would drive me there, and he would come in and wait for me while I had my lesson. And she provided a safe space for me. And I will never ever forget it. But it was being raised with my older siblings and my mom
Did
singing.
that teacher know that you felt that way? Did you ever express to her the
Yeah.
impact she's made on your life?
Oh, I've expressed it
Oh, that's
to her
great. That
loud
is
and clear.
so great because sometimes they don't know, they don't get the feedback to know, and then you get that one student who is
Oh,
deeply
she
moved.
was at my wedding.
She was at the wedding.
She was at my weddings. Yeah,
So
six and a half.
she's like family in a way for you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's great, huh?
Yeah.
Think about all the kids that she inspired over the years too, you know?
I
Continue
know
to
there are many,
Yeah.
many.
So those are some of those early inspirations for you when you said, "I'm gonna pack up," as Charlie, "I'm gonna pack up and go to New York City." I mean, that had to take a little spunk, in the words
Yeah.
of Lou Grant at Asner. It had to take a little spunk to just pack up and leave the family, the church. I mean, when you said you're doing that, how did that play within the family and the church? You're going to the Big
Well,
Apple.
by then I was not. The church was not a part of my life. By
It was
then,
already
I had like, I would the church the that church was not a part of my life, and
yeah.
I had not started building what I call spiritual muscles yet. So for the past 18 years, I've been in the practice of building spiritual muscles and emotional resilience. And it really, really pays off and works in my life. So, but at that time, Jim, my career as a performer was never anything that I had to seek. It was never anything that I had to like,
Chase and
I never chased
hunt
it. Yeah,
for.
exactly. I
It
never had
came
to
to
chase
you.
it. When I was living in downtown Chicago and performing in regional theater in the Chicago area and singing in jazz clubs in downtown Chicago, that a friend of mine, Joe Savino, I remember, uh, told me about this show, Miss Saigon, at the Auditorium Theater. It was their touring production. He's like, hey, you should go see it. I got a cheap mezzanine seat, and I was sitting way up in the mezzanine. I mean, I didn't know anything of what Miss Saigon was. I'd never been to New York. I'm sitting up there, and Jared Emick, who was playing Chris, man, that man really, he cast a spell on me. And by the end of the show, you know, if you know the show, I mean, there a lot of people are weeping by the end of the show.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
bawling my face off, and new creative desire was just rocketed inside of me, and the voice said, I must play that role. I must play that role. So I mean, literally, it was 4 months later. I had like $2,000, and I'm like, I'm moving to New York. I didn't really know anybody, and so I moved, and nobody told me, hey, Charles, do you know how long it's going to take for you to book anything? Do you know how many people want to be able to have success on Broadway? Do you know? Nobody told me that. And probably if anybody did, I wouldn't have heard it anyway.
Yeah, because you were going. You were
I was
going.
going. I was going.
And the family was supportive? Or were they nervous?
Yeah. Yes.
Knowing that you were quieter and shyer and more reserved, were they nervous to hear you're going to Metropolis now?
I would say my parents were always very supportive. They might not have understood. They might not have understood because my dad was a pharmaceutical engineer for Abbott Laboratories. He was one of 13 children raised down in rural Alabama. And he met my mom. He was 18, she was 15, and they met at a roller skating rink in Birmingham. And this was way back in the time when, you know, they had these clip-on skates. You have to clip on to the bottom of your shoe. She was 15, and she was like clipping on her skates, and he happened to notice that she was losing her balance. And he swooped in and caught her and kept her from falling.
Swept her off her feet.
Yep. And they got married three years later. And he was joined the Air Force, and then ended up on the north side of Chicago, where he got this job with Abbott Laboratories. And so he never, I mean, there was a lot they didn't understand about what I was doing, but they were always incredibly supportive.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, that's a beautiful thing, because it doesn't always happen when somebody's picking up and leaving home and hearth and the hometown and the creature comforts of it all. But you did, and you probably look back at that move as one of the greatest things you did for yourself and investing in yourself, taking the bull by the horns to the best of your ability back then and just doing it.
There was just, I mean, you know what, I know you know what it's like when you just tune into your intuition and you make choices that fulfill the bigger calling.
Right.
That's what I was doing.
If you hadn't done it and you stayed there, who would Charles West be now? Would he still be Charlie?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He would absolutely still be Charlie. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's honestly, it's really, really hard to say, but most likely he would still be Charlie. Yeah.
So again, it was one of the great investments you made in yourself that you look back at now fondly. I want to show a couple more cool shots that we dug up here. Look at this one.
Freddie and My Fair Lady. Yep. Yeah. Singing On the Street Where You Live.
Now, is it the same scenario? Charlie was still within?
Oh, yes.
Oh, but yes. I bet people, did anybody, again, these are iconic performances, iconic productions that we're talking about here. Did anybody sense it, pick up on it? Any friends, any colleagues, anybody quietly say, are things okay, Charles? Are you all right? Or
towards the end.
As it started to build and unravel a little bit, they were sensing.
I became a mess. I became an emotional mess. And honestly, I mean, I got to the point after 9/11, in 2002, 2003, 2004, I was doing everything I could do with substances to try to numb the trauma of 9/11 that was still connected to Charlie. And there were definite friends of mine, Denise, Sam, an ex of mine also, that witnessed me, really, really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
And they probably were scared. They probably thought,
For sure. For
we
sure.
may lose him. We may actually lose him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's
Well,
really, yeah.
I will share with you that is, in April of 2004, I flew out to Los Angeles from Miami to record some music that I'd written with a producer out there who wanted to work with me. And well, that didn't happen because I ended up in a coma. I ended up in a coma, and the doctors at this hospital in Los Angeles had to call my parents in Birmingham, Alabama, and say, we don't know if Charles is going to make it. He hasn't regained consciousness yet.
What a call for them to receive.
Yeah. And I remember after I'd been resuscitated, I was finally taken up to my own room in the hospital. And I blearily remembered a nurse coming in to check my vitals. She left. And shortly after that, I had a really, really powerful, I was visited, a really powerful experience. All of a sudden, I felt these hands on my shoulders kind of, shaking me. And I heard this voice saying, this is not who I created you to be. This is not who I created you to be, over and over and over again. And then the hands let go and I fell back into the hospital bed, and I looked around the room and there was nobody there. I mean, this was 1 month before my 40th birthday. And it was in that moment that I realized, wow, I don't know myself at all. You could put me in a tuxedo in front of a symphony orchestra and let me sing anything, whatever it was. But it was in that moment I realized I don't know myself at all. And so I just realized that it's like, I cannot take anything for granted anymore. And I need to figure this stuff out.
Got to work on you, right?
I need to figure this stuff out. And it was a long, slow process.
How'd you begin the process? That's because sometimes the hardest part is the beginning, putting one foot in front of the other and actually knowing where and how to begin. How did you know and how to begin even that process, that journey for you, Charles?
Well, I mean, I sought therapy, and I was a part of a couple of other support groups that really provided allowed me a level of communication that I'd never experienced before, because my whole life I had to stuff it all. I had to hold everything inside. And so, I mean, I remember going to therapy sessions and going to the support groups, and it was like I was like regurgitating my feelings that from Charlie, like Charlie's wounded little feelings. I had to get all that stuff out, right? I mean, I do remember I went to an anger management therapist, and she had her studio set up with like, a bat, and you could like hit this bag and everything.
Yeah,
like,
work it out.
I had to allow myself to cry and get angry at the preachers that planted the seeds of self-loathing.
You're not good enough. You'll never equal
nation and all of that stuff. I had to allow myself to get angry at that so that it didn't take up residence within me anymore.
That must have been a really interesting journey, because it was so ingrained in you. You probably felt nervous about taking that head on, and also feeling, though, even though maybe you feel you weren't necessarily respected, that if you were to judge it or not want to follow it or whatever, that you were being disrespectful even
Yep.
to something that
Yep.
wasn't being respectful to you.
Yep.
And that's oftentimes feeling like you're in a box, right?
Well, Jim, I mean, look at our society now with all different communities that feel like they're not being heard, or the BIPOC community, the non-binary community, or the trans community that are finally being heard and given a voice for really the first time in their lives, right? Given the voice for the first time in their lives, and they have a lot that they need to get out too. And so I'm so grateful that in the last couple of years in the pandemic, I've been a part of 2 different diversity groups where, and also like studying with, people like Ian Van Zant. If you know who she is, I mean, became very well known on the Oprah Winfrey Show. She's also a mentor of mine, where I've studied with her, and where I want to be this non-BIPOC man. I want to surround myself with a community of people that I can learn from, so that I can go back to the non-BIPOC community and say, hey, ladies, gentlemen, y'all, we have some work to do here. We need to adjust the tone of things here, and so there's still a long way to go, but every single one of us, I know that it makes a difference what we're doing. It just absolutely does.
Yes, it does. And a long lasting and impactful one too, which is the beautiful part of this whole story. Taking us through a little bit more of your iconic career. Look at this.
Miss Saigon singing Why God Why, yeah.
Now, when you look back, even though Charlie was in the forefront internally for you, do you look back with gratitude, fondness, and appreciation for the opportunities that you had early on in your life to be on these Broadway stages in New York City?
When I joined Miss Saigon, Jim, I look back on my time and the year and a half that I was a part of the Miss Saigon tour. Ooh, that was one of the most powerful theatrical experiences that I've ever been a part of. That, and I would say the productions of South Pacific and the Fantastics, when I did that here in New York. But viewing Chris, when I got to go on as Chris in Miss Saigon, yeah, I fully felt that. I really, really did.
Which is incredible. I mean, and that's fantastic. Here's another.
Yeah, me with Melinda Chua, who was Kim at that time. Yeah. But as the young leading man that I was back then, and then so now this photo, I'm here with Kimberly Burns. This was the very first, the second time actually that I got to do a production of South Pacific, and here I am, Emile Debet. So I went from young leading man when Charlie wasn't home.
Yeah.
Charles wasn't home. Charlie was running the room. Charles was learning how to be a part of the picture here. By this point, let's see, this was 12 years ago, I think. I think it was 12 years ago.
12 years ago now, huh?
At that time, I was sober for 5 years. So
that was another element to all of this too. The numbing you were talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Masking treating the symptoms, but not the cause. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at this shot.
Oh, I played Hilaire Jacek at Westchester Broadway Playhouse in the Cole Porter's Can-Can. Quite the dandy fellow, eh?
I was going to say, now Charles is Charles here.
Charles is home here.
Because you can see the confidence and you can see it in the eyes and the demeanor. Yeah.
Don't you see? Don't you
There's
see the
much more of a
difference?
confidence.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Much more of a confidence there. Here's another shot too. Look at this one.
Oh, El Gallo and the Fantastics with
What was
Jackie.
it like being a part of that?
Oh, well, this
Fantastic.
it's fantastic. Yeah, this particular production was in Evansville, Indiana, at the in Indiana, and it was an amazing, beautiful production that we got to do for a couple months. But I mean, the costumes. Look at this costume, and I mean, it was really, really incredible. I mean, here we are on this crate, and I'm casting the spell on Louisa singing round and round neath the magic spell, singing the song, and she's just falling under a
You
spell.
just made a few
Oh
of
my
the
gosh,
viewers
I
happy
just
because
realized
they've
something.
they've been asking if you were going to sing, so you just
I
made
was
them
hypnotizing
happy.
her. I didn't even realize I was hypnotizing her.
You're casting. Yeah.
Now years later, I actually am a hypnotherapist. I didn't even
See?
realize. I never connected that.
And you made some of the viewers happy because they were asking if they're going to hear you sing something. They think
Oh,
he's a
really?
singer. Is he gonna? Yeah, they were asking
Well,
that. You never know, right? He may surprise
there
you. Look at this one.
that's another El Gallo. Yep.
That's a great one. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a really nice
I
one.
love that. Oh, and this was from Hercules. This was from the world premiere of Hercules at the Delacorte Theater. Just
Confident there.
yeah. Oh, that experience was
You can see it in the
so.
face. There's a change. There's an actual visual change in your expressions as the confidence was allowed to rise to the surface.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy. I mean, it fills me with such humility and gratitude to know that. I mean, for you to be able to just witness you and all the viewers to be able to witness the shift from young Charlie to Charles is the leading man but wasn't home to the Charles that he became, and I'm using third person, but it's me. It fills me with such gratitude that I get to help people to incorporate that in their own lives now. It just
Hmm.
means everything to me. I mean, just like you talked about knowing that as a really young little boy that singing was a calling for me,
Yes.
being a coach slash hypnotherapist slash public speaker, inspirational speaker is another calling for me. So it's not like the first calling went away, but there is now another calling. And so it's just, and even just in this past week, I've been blessed to have couple really beautiful things. From the beginning of this year, I've been studying with Deepak Chopra and his team, and so I'm now officially certified as a Ayurveda teacher with Chopra, and also a primordial sound meditation teacher with Chopra Global, and with the Marissa Pierce School, where I'm certified in Rapid Transformational Hypnotherapy. I'm now an official RTT ambassador for
That's
that.
so cool, huh?
And so it's really beautiful. Oh, and there I am with Mary Morrissey of the Brave Thinking Institute. And so nobody knew, okay, go with me on this one. So the Charles that I was here, this is March of 2018. Nobody at this coaching conference that I was attending in Los Angeles knew that I was actually on chemotherapy at this time.
That's a whole other aspect to this story that we haven't touched upon. That was a left curve that came your way.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that
Yep.
health scare that came into your life as well.
Well, in August of 2016,
Not
I
that
was
long ago.
newly married, thriving in my life. I was out walking one day and I had a stumble on the sidewalk and I developed a little hernia. And I went immediately the next day to the hospital in Brooklyn. And, the chief of surgery, I remember Dr. Sugiyama came out and examined me and he's like, oh, this is a piece of cake. We'll get this taken care of. In a couple of days, I have an opening. And so when Dr. Sugiyama entered my navel with the laparoscopic camera, he witnessed what he said was a growth about the size of a lemon on the left lobe of my liver. And he took a couple of biopsies and removed about 1 liter of ascites fluid and brought me back out of anesthesia, shared with me that, Mr. West, I wasn't able to do the hernia repair because this is what I witnessed. He could tell that I was in shock. By then, I was sober for 12 years. And I'd been building my spiritual muscles. I'd been, journaling, doing all the right stuff to take good care of myself. And I allowed myself in that moment of shock to be authentic with my emotions. Authentic with my emotions, which I never was allowed to do before, right? This saved my life because I allowed myself to cry and bawl and pray. I cried and prayed and cried and prayed for about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And when all that saltiness from all the tears was done, underneath all of that was a deeper level of faith than I ever knew was even there. And I knew I was going to be able to lean into those 12 years of building spiritual muscles to be able to support me through this dark night of the soul. So that like really amazing people, like friends of mine, like Jackie Bird, who is an amazing healer, brought to my apartment here in Brooklyn sound healing energy sessions twice, just because she knew that I was hurting. My dear friend, who was an acupuncturist in Manhattan at the time, what allowed me to come and see him all the time, Trip Hansen, who now lives in California, but he was a Broadway dancer, became a very prominent acupuncturist in Manhattan, to help me get rid of all the stress and the tension that I was feeling in my body. And so that it was actually that cancer diagnosis that led me on this second calling.
It was a wake-up call. It was a second chance.
Yep.
It was time to say, okay, this is this, and we got to move forward and tackle this in a way as scary and ominous as it is. It was a gift of sorts, huh?
I honestly, I do believe now that it was incredibly shocking at the time. I was diagnosed with something that was inoperable and untreatable. And the best cancer specialists in the world at Memorial Sloan Kettering didn't know what to do, except offering me these drugs that were incredibly harmful to my body. And so it's been a long process, a slow process for me of reclaiming my authentic power and to allow myself to take my power back from Western science, especially when they weren't able to do anything to get rid of it. I tuned into other avenues of healing, like with Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've started going, reading Dr. Joe Dispenza books, doing all of his meditations, and even going to like Tony Robbins, Unleashing the Power Within, and walking on hot, fiery coals, and receiving this inspiration to actually put into practice, helping others with the lessons that I'd learned thus far.
Which is a beautiful thing when you get a chance to do that and connect with people on levels that are deeper than anything you could have ever imagined and ever predicted and scripted. You talk about some of those early influences in your life. Here's one.
Oh, my dad, Joseph West.
Yes. Tell us about your dad.
Well, he was reading to me about my bedtime story. We had the whole series of Frank Baum books. And this was Patchwork Girl. And this was in Libertyville, Illinois. And you can tell I have my dad's hair, exactly, right? And I have my dad's eyes too. He had that same silver streak in his hair that I have ever since. Right. He had
that you
really, really young, but he was so kind. I have memories of my dad. We would go to a Cubs game, or we would go to, the Field Museum, or the aquarium in downtown Chicago, or my dad would strike up a conversation with a total stranger and they're best friends. My dad just had this charm about him.
My father's like that as well. In the
Really?
supermarket line, can
Yeah,
have a whole conversation going, and
yeah.
I definitely think that, along with my uh, quick wit and humor, has come from dad. Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I
Mhm.
have always watched him do that, and watch him do that, and do it so effortlessly too.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, at my dad's memorial service 16 years ago
Hmm,
in Birmingham,
hmm.
there were people who showed up for his memorial service that got up to speak at the microphone at the end to express their gratitude to him for these specific pharmaceuticals that he developed and created that had saved either their own lives or the lives of their loved ones. And these people, I don't even know where they came from. I don't know if they lived in Birmingham, but we didn't know them. Our family didn't know these people, but they shared like humectant and a couple of heparin, and another drug that my dad developed. People showed up because this drug had saved their lives, and it was incredibly powerful. And we had my mom's memorial service. She passed away May 25th of last year, so just a year ago, and we had her memorial service in Birmingham last September, and it was also really powerful, really beautiful. And they're with me. They're with me always.
I
They're,
was
they're
going to say, yes, that's a key to all of this, is that they're with you.
Well, when my dad passed away, you know, the subject of death, of someone passing, is so intimate, right? It's such an intimate and personal thing, and it's different for everyone. And I love you, Gail. I love you so much, Gail.
Gail, welcome to the Jim Masters Show live.
She
You're
is
in
a,
the right spot. You're in
she is
Lovety Hall here, Gail.
she is a
You're
dear
amongst
sister.
friends.
When my dad passed away, people would go to my mom and very emotionally, "I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Feeling it
So sorry
deeply.
for your loss." And I witnessed my mom responding to them. I, I haven't lost him. I didn't lose Joe. He's right here.
Mm-hmm.
He's right here. I didn't lose him. So when my mom passed away, and it seems to be a very common thing for people to say, is, "I'm so sorry for your loss," because sometimes you don't know what else to say, what else would
Mm-hmm.
be appropriate, right?
Right.
But I know that my mom, she's right here,
Absolutely.
as well as my dad. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have some more fabulous photos we wanted to share. Look at this.
Oh. Yeah, that's six pack Charlie.
That'll stop
Eight pack,
traffic.
maybe. Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's really so interesting. So, Jim, I
Now,
mean,
is Charlie still in there?
oh yeah. So this guy is 31 or 32. So Jim, when I was 28 years old, I weighed 245 pounds and I had a 42-inch waist. So I was a chubby, as I'd mentioned, I mean, I was a chubby kid growing up, and a fat young man in my mid 40s. But then once I made that decision, I'm moving to New York, it was like everything shifted. I was still living in Chicago for 4 months. I started going to the gym for the very first time. I moved to New York, and it's like I transformed,
Mm-hmm.
and I discovered underneath all of that flat fat that I was carrying around my whole life, I actually had a physique. I had no idea. But then, see, the thing is, though, Jim, I became the Charlie that I was, the Charles that I was, with Charlie right inside there. I became over identified with my physicality.
That makes sense.
I
Yes.
became over-identified
Which
with work.
overshadowed
I
who
became
you were. Right.
That's right. People become over-identified with the roles that they play, with the
Yes.
money that they have or don't have, with the car that they drive, with whatever. When we become that is our most valuable form of currency. If the most valuable form of currency that someone has in their life is the six-pack or the car
Mhm.
they drive
Yeah.
or
No.
the job they have, it's not a very,
It's not what it's all about. No.
all about.
It's not what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. You got some other wonderful shots that we're digging up here as well.
Ah, El Gallo celebrating. Yes. I love it.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
Is that how you feel every day now? Or as much as possible, humanly possible?
Okay, so this is Charles. Charles is home.
Yeah, you can
Charles is
tell. Yeah, look
home.
at him.
And he's like,
There's
I
a
am,
lot. Yeah, that wasn't just playing that role. There was a lot of release probably happening.
and I was surrounded by people in this production of the Fantastics that were so grateful for what they were doing.
Yes.
They were so grateful for what they were doing, and I was so happy to really bring it all. You know, whether I was singing "Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and oh so yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow.
That song is almost like your theme song to your life at so many levels.
Yep. When you
Mm.
try to remember the kind of what? September,
September.
you were a tender and callow fellow. It makes me emotional, Jim. And I have no problem getting emotional.
And I was born in September.
The Charles that I am now, living the blessed life that I have now,
Mm-hmm.
having the beautiful marriage that I have with my husband now. We've been together for 11 years and surrounded by so many loving friends. And he and I both do a lot of volunteer work. You know, he's on 3 different boards for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, for Broadway Inspirational Voices. You know, we both do a lot of service because, you know, and also we both do service for Covenant House. We do the sleep outs as often as we can for them. And because we don't take anything for granted, because, you know,
Can't.
we can't.
Yeah.
We know how blessed we are.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just want to, you know, invite everybody, if you don't write a gratitude list, start. Do a
Yes.
gratitude list.
Very
And
important.
did you know, Jim, that gratitude that is shared magnifies?
Yes, it does.
So
Mhm.
if you write a gratitude list, take a picture of it and send it to someone, send it to a family member, send it to a dear friend. It magnifies. So I invite everybody out there to do that.
Very in tune with gratitude, empathy, kindness, emotional intelligence, all these things that are so important and essential ingredients in our life that have been sort of muffled, maybe weakened, shoved aside. And now I think after everything we've been going through the last couple of years, people are starting to realize those are the things that really matter. That and love, of course. Those are the things that really sustain, get us through, help us through. The things that really are deep. Yes,
Yep.
Lovity. That's the Lovity Rock.
Somebody,
The
this is
Lovity Rock
my
now
lovely,
appearing on the Jim Masters show
my
with
lovely.
my favorite color green in there. How'd you know?
I just I
How did
know
you know my favorite color was green and you sang that song and I was born in September? You're intuitive.
I am. I am.
That's amazing. That is so cool. So yeah, like you say, you're living. Crystal says levity, absolutely, and gratitude, be of service to others. You better believe it,
Yep.
and all of that counts, and all of that really matters. And it's great that Charles is sharing this because he's had again this spectacular career on stage and elsewhere, and he's opening up about his life right here on the Jim Master Show live in a very authentic way that could be inspiring others watching live or watching this later in our archives who might feel a little lost or just might not feel full and happy and content. And maybe the world is just spinning too fast around them. We are living in a world where everybody's following what everybody else is doing. Everybody's trying to top everybody else. Everybody's trying to wear the clothing that somebody in Beverly Hills is wearing or whatever on a series on TV. That's not what life's all about. That's their life. That's not your life. That's their life being documented and shown on video. That's not your life. Your life is the people that are around you and what your heart calls you to do and your dreams and desires and the tastes and flavors that you like, and whether you like the ocean or the mountains or you like sports or you like gardening or all of the above. That's you, not you based on what they say or what this one says or what you're supposed to do. Or that is you because you were born as you and you're going to pass as you. And it's that dash in between the birth and the exit and what you do with it that really matters most. And just trying to emulate everybody else, you can be inspired by, mentored by, empowered by, but you cannot live somebody else's life, nor should you, because you are then reducing the value of your own and you're limiting your own. Life is short, life is precious. Time is right now to live it. And as we've learned in the last couple of years and since 9/11, and every day is precious, it's the time to really be you and live. And whatever you do or whoever you are or whatever your beliefs are and whatever your spin is, just live it and enjoy it and share it with the world, not force it on the world, share it with the world. There's a big
Yeah.
difference.
Are you a coach? You're
I,
sounding.
I've interviewed a lot of them in my professional world, and I've been told several things. One
Yeah.
is operating from a higher consciousness, intuitive, high level empath. I've heard coach. I've also heard, believe it or not, minister from some, which
Well,
a nurse actually said that to me.
yeah.
And I just somehow seem to
If
do
you
that in my
think about,
professional work.
we all have a ministry,
Right.
and that ministry doesn't necessarily have anything to do with religion. Someone's ministry or someone's spiritual path that I'm on, that you're on, that any of the Lovety friends might be on, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with organized religion. Might not even, for some people, even have to do with a presence known as God. For me, it does. It does have to do with that. But for some people, it doesn't. And that's totally fine because everything is energy. And the word, as you were just talking, the word that was bubbling up to me, for me, is authenticity. It's not possible to live in a space of authenticity when we are lugging around a backpack full of wounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't do you any good to be, in a movie or be an emergency room doctor or whatever it is when you are either carrying them around or wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by wearing them was the Charles that I used to be.
Right.
Wearing them, you could see it on my face and in my eyes.
Yes.
Right? I don't
Yeah.
wear them anymore.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that would be the case? Would you ever, I'm sure you hoped that it would be, but did you ever
Uh,
think
I
that it
didn't
would be?
know there was such a thing. I honestly didn't know that there was such a thing. It's, so when I became a certified coach and I had this intuition that I wanted to be able to take not only my business, but what I was able to provide for people to a deeper level.
Yeah.
When I discovered the Marissa Peer School,
Hmm.
about with rapid transformational hypnotherapy. And I had no idea, Jim, that I would be able to use a lot of the same gifts and talents and superpowers that I have with my voice, being highly intuitive, to be able to therapeutically support and assist people in transcending an enormous amount of pain and trauma with using hypnosis. It's
Yeah.
really, really incredible. Have you ever experienced hypnosis?
Yes, I actually have. Yes. Yeah. It is quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
It really is. And yeah, it's, I think what happens in our lives is you had that aha moment. The 9/11 was a trigger for you.
Mhm.
There are these aha moments. There's these things that happen that just all of a sudden hit you in a certain way that open up the door and allow your expression of who you are to rise to the surface. And what ends up happening, which not always, but a lot of times, which is really fantastic, is people then actually really prefer and gravitate towards that other real, authentic version of who you are. Some even almost knowing, the jig is up and they've been waiting for that day to come. And
As
that's
long as
incredible.
you understand, though, that once you have gotten to that level
That's
where you
yes.
realize I will either have to stay stuck for the rest of my life or start to do the healing work,
Mhm.
start to become authentic. But
Yeah.
then what ends up happening with most people is there's that internal voice that says, is it safe for me to reveal this truth about myself? Is it actually safe for me to be this more evolved version of myself? Because the reality is for a lot of people that once you start to realize that you are in the midst of healing and growing, some of the people that may be a part of your family, your friends, your coworkers, sometimes might not really be happy with the change, right? Sometimes
They don't know how to handle it, or they're used to you being a certain way or saying a certain thing or
that's
just operating in a certain fashion. And now they're like, how do I approach that person? How do I yeah, right, exactly. That can happen too.
It
Yes.
takes a lot of courage and support from others to
Yeah.
be able to learn how to live with authenticity. And frankly, for me, one of my core values is kindness,
Good.
gratitude, and kindness. Without kindness, we're we can't do this. We can't be human. We can't do this. We've got to be able to lead with kindness as much as possible, and especially when there are difficult and challenging experiences that are happening in our
Mhm.
country and in our world, tune into what we can do right here, right now.
Right
Right?
here, right now. Yeah.
Not giving too much of our emotional power
Mhm.
to whatever it is that may be out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is a great shot of you doing your thing.
Oh, this was last summer. Yeah, this was last summer at the Gay Sober Men event. There were 60 gay sober men in this at this workshop that I was doing that I created called In the Flow. And yeah, I was up there doing my thing. Really, it was a 90-minute workshop, and I created, worksheets and for everybody, and it was a really beautiful and powerful experience.
Mm.
I loved it. I love it. I look forward to this becoming a TED Talk stage.
That would be really cool, huh?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yep.
Yes.
This is gonna
Sherry
happen.
Larson, thank you for your kind comments in Kansas. And Jill and Jason in Connecticut, thank you
Love
for
you,
your kind
Jill.
comments.
Jill.
And Gail for your wonderful comments, and everybody that is commenting and sharing. I think it's absolutely fantastic and really cool. Now, this is a cool shot too.
Yep.
And that was my hair maybe about 2 months ago when I let it grow for the
Really?
pandemic. Now it's risen a little bit, but that's a cool
Oh,
hairstyle actually. And during the pandemic, a lot of guys that they let the hair grow. I had never let it get to that length, if not shoulder length. But during the pandemic, I did. I always wanted to, but because of the roles and the positions on television and everything else, I always thought they won't let me do that and blah, blah, blah. And I did, and they loved it. They're like, hey, that's fantastic. Like,
mhm.
really? I should have done it, a few years ago then.
Well,
That's a great, yeah. How
my
long
good
is
friend Robert Thomas, who is a hair guru in
it?
Manhattan,
Yeah,
he was responsible for that. He did that.
it's cool, huh?
Yep, and that. Hmm.
That is cool. Look at this
Yep.
shot.
Oh, yep. There I am, second to the left.
Yeah.
This is so. I'm also in a professional gospel choir called Broadway Inspirational Voices.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've been with that choir for 5.5 years, and here we are singing a really beautiful jazz version, a 6-part version of "Luck Be a Lady"
Oh, yeah,
on
sure.
Guys and Dolls, and a medley of with "Luck Be a Lady" and "Lady Be Good."
That's
Yeah,
fantastic. So you're
yeah.
still doing all that and you're
Oh,
still,
so
yeah,
Dennis
mm,
Stowe, who's to the right there,
yeah.
he is now Jafar in Aladdin. He replaced Jonathan Friedman. He was the understudy and then became a standby for Jafar, and he became the first black gentleman, and he's a dear. He was John Eric, my husband's best man in our wedding. They are best friends, and so he is now the Jafar in Aladdin. You need to talk to him too.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yes, I would love to have him.
Incredible bass voice this man has.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to have him on the show as well. We're always welcoming to everybody. Look at this shot.
Oh.
I did a little digging. I wanted to surprise you on a couple
Oh
of
my
shots.
gosh. So yeah, there I am on the right. So this was at Interlochen Arts Academy. So for my senior year of high school, I did not attend the public high school in Libertyville. I found out about this private fine arts school up in near Traverse City, Michigan.
Yes.
And this was a production of HMS Pinafore. And I was just in the chorus in the ensemble with the swoopy bangs back then. And boy, I didn't know what the heck I was doing at all back then. But being at Interlochen, I was finally around other nerdy, talented kids for the first time in my life that didn't really fit in their public schools.
Yes.
This was a godsend going to Interlochen.
Isn't that
Really,
incredible?
it really was.
I mean, that's just, I tell you, yeah, when you look back at these things, isn't that fantastic that you can look back and just, I mean, you've been working hard all these years. Let's talk about, we're talking a lot about the epic career. Here's another one where yeah, look at that one.
Oh,
We
oh,
we wanted to
this
throw
is
that in too.
oh
I dug
yeah.
that up. That's a great one.
Yep, yep. Another off-Broadway musical. Yep.
Which one was this?
Well, this actually didn't ever make it to the Broadway stage.
Yeah.
And so Lisa and Michael, oh my gosh, you took me by surprise with this
Isn't
one.
that cool?
I'm kind of emotional, and right now, honestly, I was singing a song called "Your Eyes," and it's oh my goodness, the name of the show. It's left me. I can't remember the name of the show right now.
You can email me and I'll let them
I'll
know
email
tomorrow.
you later. I can't remember right
But
now.
it's a great, pose. I mean, it's a great capture there. They
Yeah,
captured something really cool there, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about, again, we've talked about this iconic career in the arts, on Broadway, off Broadway, all these performances, major productions, and everything else, and Times Square billboard for Jockey, all of this. And then, of course, this transition into life coach, hypnotherapist, corporate wellness coach, and more. Tell us about some of the things that you do as you work with your clients.
Mm. Well, when I'm working with a one-on-one client, the first thing that I do is that I create a safe space for them to be able to purge and identify whatever it is that may be blocking them. We will have had a consultation together. And what I do with my one on one clients is that I customize either a 3 month, 6 month, 9 month, or 1 year package, a program for them that supports them in tuning into the internal voice that may be blocking them from living the greatest version of themselves. A lot of people will show up at my Divine Spark coaching door not having a clue what a higher version of themselves might look or even feel like.
Right, right.
Where I come in and I allow them a safe space to be able to do it. I provide a lot of different types of writing exercises. I will do in the moment coaching with them. I will take them through meditations. I will also do a rapid transformational hypnotherapy session with them in the midst of that program. If I'm doing a group type of event, which I just was really, really blessed to do one on Tuesday night. Just this last Tuesday, I guest taught for a virtual class for 20 people for a coaching colleague of mine, Crystal Brown. And we did another one of my workshops called Divine Flow. And what it does is it really allows the people that are attending to be able to tune into the chakras, which are the
Yeah,
7 energy centers in our bodies,
that's right.
be able to really turn up the volume of those energy centers, and also so that they are all in alignment. Because if they're not in alignment, and if there's, well, now as a certified Chopra health teacher, we all absorb something that's called ama, AMA, and that's a Sanskrit word which means emotional or energetic toxicity. And that toxicity can take the form of food that doesn't serve us well, or emotions or energies that we might absorb from the environment. And that
Exactly.
becomes dis-ease, right?
Dis-ease, right, exactly.
Right.
It's
So
so true.
where I come in with them is to be able to, now that I also am certified with Chopra, I add that to my spiritual toolbox. So I've got my spiritual toolbox right here. And when I'm working with my client, I'm able to customize and create this curriculum for them based upon whatever it is they're going through.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Why does this work give you such great blessing and joy to do what you do at this deeper level now? I mean, you've always had these wonderful opportunities come your way, but now this is an opportunity that some of these opportunities came because of your, blood, sweat, and tears and your passion. It was recognized. And like you say, you didn't necessarily have to go knocking on doors and hustling to get those gigs. Some of them just came, which is rare and beautiful. This is something that you carved out exclusively yourself. You went to this and created this for the good of everybody else. What are some of those blessings and joys that spur you on to do this kind of work for others? And it's filling your cup too, because as I always say, when you're inspiring others, lifting others, you too are lifted. When you're shining the light on others, people say, gee, you must love, you always have, you work in television, you've done film, stage, radio, all this stuff, and you got all this paraphernalia around you. You must love it. I'm like, I actually like sharing it. I like, if the light's on me, that's great. But I also like turning the light around and sharing it on others as much as studio lights or whatever else are on me. And that's just something that I've always been, people have said to me, you say we too much. I'm like, really? I mean, I don't think we say it enough. They're like, no, you are such a we person as opposed to I. And I've actually been told by friends, colleagues, family, don't say we all the time, Jim. I'm like, why not? It would be great if the world was all we. And they said, no, because you're the one that accomplished that, built that, or, that award was yours, or you earned that. You were the only one that swam across to get that. Yeah, but I still see it as a we thing. We share in it. We revel in it. No, that was an I moment. Take the I. So for me, I've learned now by creating boundaries too, which is I never had before, but you need to. There are times when it is I, and it isn't selfish and greedy and egotistical to say that it's I. In reality, I was the only one in the room at that time. So and it's okay that you say I, as much as I still want to say we and probably say we more than I should. Because I'm a team type of person. That's been really cool to learn the ability to create boundaries and say I every once in a while and stick with it too.
Wow, you ask the best questions. really beautiful, poignant questions, Jim. So the blessings that I receive, I mean, for me to be able to work with someone, whether it is virtually or with someone in my office, uh, not everybody shows up to work with me and they're in the midst of some big struggle or trauma or hurting. Sometimes people are actually doing really great in their lives, but there's something that's stuck, right? There's something that might be stuck. I've been able to develop and build my own intuition through not only the 17 and a half years of my sobriety, but lots and lots of, the books that I've read, the workshops that I've attended, the people that I've studied with have supported me and given me beautiful curriculums that I'm able to share with others. And so I have been so blessed to be able to be the participant, to be able to light that spark, the spark of the divine within someone else. I recall about 7 or 8 years ago, I was meditating and I received a download energetically. I heard something internally, and it was this: I humbly own my magnificence as a lightning rod of divine energy. I kind of heard that internally. And I thought, what? I humbly own my magnificence as a lightning rod of divine energy. That's really kind of audacious, Charles. But by then, I had allowed myself to start to believe the things that I wasn't allowed to believe before. And so what I learned, what I came to deeply understand, is that it is possible to be humble and own your magnificence. Be humble and charismatic. Be
Yes.
humble and be a spiritual warrior. Be humble and be a silly little boy sometimes. Be humble and be abundant, right? But to be humble, right? It starts with being humble. Be humble and extraordinarily successful and own your magnificence.
Right. That's
When
right.
you allow yourself to own your magnificence, that has nothing to do with ego or arrogance.
That's right.
Not ego, the easing God out part. It's not ego. It's understanding that there is a greater calling going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just like with my performance career, my career as a coach and as a therapist is not anything that I've had to seek.
Right. Right.
It's
It's
something that
sort
I
of
keep
just
on showing up
it just
for.
came.
I keep on showing up for it, and it keeps
And
right.
yeah, and you get to revel in it. And one of the things too is the oxygen mask thing.
Oh,
I always used to have this issue, and I would say maybe 10% of me. Well, maybe it's less than that now. I used to have this issue in my mind, self-created, whenever I would hear them say, in the event of the emergency, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Like, boy, that sounds very,
selfish.
selfish and greedy. And what am I talking about? I was of the ilk, help thy fellow man, help
Mhm.
thy neighbor, all of that. Help them first, and then you,
Sacrifice yourself, right?
for the good of the right.
Right.
Now I realize that you have to put it on your face first. They have to put it on their face first as well before you can help somebody else.
That's right.
And so now when I hear that, I still wiggle in my seat a little bit, like, mm, mm, mm.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
now I get it. I let that pass. That comes up and then it goes down like, but Jim, that's not how it works. They should be able to do it. They should be. Now, if somebody is really struggling and panicking, well, then, yeah, well, maybe I'll be like this and then helping.
Mhm.
But you got to put it on you in order to have the oxygen to help others.
That's right.
It took time to learn that. That you have to, because I'm always going. My family's like that, running to, running to, running to.
Well, but once you have your mask on, once your mask or your
It's funny we use that word, right?
being home within,
That's what.
your wellness, your
Right.
right, then you can show up for others. That's why, like, living in New York City, whenever I pack up my backpack, whether I'm going to the gym in Park Slope or going into Manhattan. I had a dentist appointment earlier today, and so I into Manhattan, and I always pack an extra protein bar in my bag, and a lot of times we'll have
Yeah.
an extra small bottle of water because I'm always going to pass by somebody that needs it, right? I'm always going to pass by somebody, and so I'm more than happy to be able to share.
That is so important. That is so important. And you have found your voice. You have found your voice. The roles that you played were other characters, which
Mhm.
you played, to a T beautifully. But now you're playing the best role, and you're not even playing it, you're living the best role.
Loving
The
it.
other was playing, and this is living. And it's the best role you could ever play. People say to me, because I've done acting as well over the years, commercials, other stuff, and they're like, gee, what would your favorite role be to play, Jim? What would you've done this, you've done that. What
Mhm.
would you be your favorite role? I said, my favorite role is Jim Masters. That's my favorite role. And that's probably why I host, because I'm me. I'm Jim Masters. That's my favorite role to play or to live, is this right here, right now, is the ultimate for me. Um, and I think it's always been that way too. I've always been some people are more comfortable when they're playing another character versus themselves. and some are playing themselves versus taking on something else. I've always been good with playing or living me for some reason, which I find quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Yeah.
I definitely understand.
Tonight, Jim Masters filling in for Jim Masters. Jim Masters on assignment. I'm Jim Masters filling in for Jim Masters.
And I'm Charles West filling in for Charles West.
That's right. And he sent Charlie packing.
Oh,
He's always still in there.
but
He'll always be in you. He'll always be in you.
I still allow myself to tune in and listen.
You should, yes, because
I
he's
still
a
tune
part
in.
of a big part of your life
I
that
still tune in and
shapes you.
listen, especially when my mom's the 1 year anniversary of my mom's passing was approaching on the 20, was just approaching this week. I was tuning in and I was really listening within to see if I noticed anything bubbling up to the surface that needed to be cried out, that needed to be expressed, that for grown-up Charles or for little Charlie, and to be able to be sensitive to that as a man is a blessing. And also in response to one of the questions you asked just a minute ago about what are some of the blessings, in doing what I do now with my business, is that, I would say that about 65 to 70% of the individual clients that I work with are women. And the men that I work with, though, it is really beautiful and really powerful because a lot of these men have never had another man to be able to hold the space for them and to really see and hear them like I can. And the transformation that's able to happen for these men, it's beautiful. It's beautiful for me to witness, and a very deep blessing to know that I am being used to help to facilitate that.
You're a conduit, facilitator, exactly. There's energy flowing through you and out to from a source out through, which I think is.
I haven't been able to do much of it since the pandemic, but I also, I'm trained to do like craniosacral work with it's called sacred geometry. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I studied Dr. Stephen Weiss out at the Omega Institute 4.5 years ago, and I incorporate stones and crystals just like this one right here in those healing modalities as well.
You ever do Eft tapping? Any of that?
I've done a little bit of it. Yeah, I'm familiar with some of it.
Especially when you're getting cut off on the highway by somebody, you just tap, and all of a sudden,
You do that?
If somebody cuts you off,
that might be a little distracting for me. I don't know. I'll have to think about that, though. I don't know.
You start tapping your foot. That's funny.
Maybe not tapping while I'm driving. I'll let you do that.
No texting either. Somebody that's with us tonight, you mentioned God, and he played God in the movies. Well, in the one major movie, Oh God. George Bird's with us tonight.
George.
There he is.
It's so good to see you, sir.
He said you knocked it out of the park. He learned a lot, and he said it was definitely a fantastic episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. He's got a cigar there, his red hanky, and he pops in towards the latter part as well. And he played God in the movies. So you do have God on your side, my friend. Amen. We all do.
Amen.
I tell you.
Amen. Yes, yes.
This really was a fantastic conversation that went in so many unscripted, which is the way I like to do this series, is unscripted, no questions, no teleprompter, nothing pre-planned and structured and all. I like it to be organic, just like Johnny Carson, Dick Cavett, Regis Philbin, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, the ones that sort of set the tone, Steve Allen. sort of pulling from some of those greats with a modern twist, modern vibe of today.
Let me
And I
just
love it. I love doing it.
reflect back to you. You are really good at what you do. You are, and I'm sure everybody here would agree, you are really, really exceptional at what you do. This and everything else that you do, way to go. Way to go.
I appreciate
You've
that.
actually even surpassed what I was sort of anticipating maybe this experience might be, being here together tonight. Like, once you have found him, never let her go. You know, you've just surpassed it, just like that.
Appreciate that. That's
You really have.
That's kind of you to say, and I really appreciate that and greatly. And
I mean it.
as my father has always said, my Irish dad from New York, whenever somebody says something nice and kind to you, ask them to please put it in writing and address it management.
I love that. But also,
That's his humor. And I love that.
so let me just offer to everyone, though, that what I was just sharing with you was not a compliment.
I know.
I
It's
was
deeper
not
than that.
giving you a compliment. And see the fact that you understand that.
Yes.
What I was doing was reflecting to you. And that's the big difference. It's not just about, well, let me, or someone has a hard time receiving a compliment.
Right.
What they're really having a hard time with is being seen and being heard. They're not
Yes.
accustomed to being seen.
Yeah.
And so I would just invite everyone who is watching to maybe shift that for themselves. Maybe just play around with that for themselves whether they're giving or receiving that level of affirmation, that level of, witnessing someone doing something lovely, being kind, being gracious, and just, it's not that you're paying them a compliment or not that you're receiving a compliment. It's just that you're being seen.
Mm-hmm.
You're being heard. Yeah.
Yeah. And people, there's a lot of people that are craving to be seen and heard because there's so many people are speaking at and only surrounding themselves by those who just mirror what they want to hear and believe.
Right.
And I've never been like that. I'm a middle guy. I'm a Libra, balance and harmony. So I'm a balance guy. So I like to, Libra with Virgo rising. So I like to take extreme over there, and find ways to pull elements from each and bring everybody together. Very difficult, not easy. I should have been born on Venus, the planet of love. But I try to take elements of all of these things and sort of bring it together. I'm somebody who does loathe injustice. I'm constantly witnessing a lot of stuff that goes on in our world today and saying, and I know this phrase comes from my father as well, because I hear him say it. And it doesn't mean we don't understand when we say, I don't understand. It's an expression, not meaning we don't understand. The thing is, unfortunately, we do understand. We're just bowled over by some of the things we see people say and do and act out and all this other stuff. Time is short, man. Let's get things together here and find a way to just live. And
Tim, I know that you understand what it means to live your life in a way where when something really unexpected and wonderful happens, it doesn't take you by surprise, but you're continually delighted. You're just constantly delighted. But it's not like, how did this happen? Where did this come from? It's like, you just know that it's like, well, when you live your life with a certain level of integrity, most of the time, most of the time, nobody does it perfectly. I don't do it perfectly, but I still allow myself to tune into that inner voice late at night when I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I ask my higher power, how did I do today? And when I started asking my higher power that question 17 years ago, and I didn't hear a response at first. And it took a while for me to be able to tune into that response. And eventually I heard, Charles, you're doing well. You're doing good, my friend. You paid your bill on time. You held the door for that lady. You were kind. But you know what? You ran that red light today. Let's not do that. Or it just gave me an internal inventory about what small shifts I could continue to make in my life.
Which we
Yeah.
do. Life is constantly fine-tuning and tweaking and learning new things. Everything's a teachable moment.
Right. In
It's
these days, also in terms of social media, I'm all for using social media and using it in a way that is wise and
positive and
not in excess.
right.
But I also don't base who I am, what I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to wear, what I'm going to say, where I'm going to go, based upon some TikTok video or whatever somebody is saying or what I'm witnessing. It's like
That's their life. That's
my
their
life is more than than somebody scrolling their news feed or they're watching reels on Instagram. Not that there can't be value in that, but I feel that we're living in a day, a time and a space these days where the quality of experiences, we need to raise that bar again.
Yeah.
During the time of the pandemic around the world, the bar has been lowered and lowered and lowered in certain ways when it comes to
A lot of things.
civil or the customer service that's available to you on whatever airlines, hotels,
Doesn't it? Yeah.
whatever it is, or just being with people out in the streets in New York City. I mean, it's a different energy these days. And so I'm grateful that I and you and other people that I know, like Gail, like Jill, like my husband, we're in the business of raising that bar, turning the volume up on kindness, turning the volume up on inspiration and being willing to show up for others.
Right, exactly. Yes, and that's very important. And join the Lovity family, gang.
Everybody, join in.
Join in the Lovity family. This was really a great conversation, Charles. Again, really fantastic. Is there a website?
DivineSparkCoaching.net.
How'd you come up with the name?
I was at a Dr. Joe Dispenza event in Atlanta. Dr. Joe Dispenza, do you know who he is?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It was my first Dr. Joe Dispenza event in Atlanta. This was July of 2017. So this was less than a year after the cancer was discovered. And I had formed my business by then. And I was in the midst of a meditation at the Dr. Joe Dispenza event. And I downloaded it, Divine Spark Coaching, because what I was tuning into, because everybody has within their hearts the spark of the divine. I never knew the Charlie that I was, even the Charles that I was that wasn't fully home, didn't know that he had a divine spark right here. So when I just heard it and I'm like, that's it. It's Divine Spark Coaching. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
My long-term big dream is Divine Spark Enterprises, which involves like a music division, anything health related, yoga mats, bottled water, Divine Spark books, Divine Spark whatever, yoga wear, you name it. That's my long-term vision. I want to have an office in LA and in London and in New York.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
But
That's
first I
cool.
need to get my book finished.
Yes. How far along are you with it?
I've gone through a couple different versions of it. I started writing it about 3.5 years ago, and it kind of went on the back burner for about a good 1.5 to 2 years when I became super, super busy with my business during the pandemic, because my business during the pandemic literally has gone from Israel to Germany to Italy to Tasmania.
People needed clarity and focus. And they were reaching out.
I've been working with people all around the world these days. So my book got put on the back burner, but it's called, my working title of it is this: Your Number One Job, ... And then underneath, learning how to love yourself.
Best investment you can make is in yourself.
No matter what you may do for a profession or a vocation, if you don't know how to love yourself, which was the Charles that I was having that conversation with the billboard version of myself up there, right? What the Charles that I was saying to him, I don't know how to love myself. How do I love myself? Charlie. He's like, Charlie, how do I love myself? So that's the story that I'm sharing in the book. And also I'll be sharing exercises about how to not only start doing it, but even if you are loving yourself, how you can love yourself even more and start to share that with other people.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
In a really genuine, authentic, and fun way. Let it be fun.
Let it be fun.
What if this journey that we're on, we're fun?
That's right. Very important.
That 9-year-old Charlie that I didn't know what having fun meant. I didn't know what that meant. Now I do.
Now you do.
I love to go bike riding in Prospect Park. That's fun. I love working with people. That's fun.
I love the ocean. The ocean.
I love dining out.
Oh, dining out.
I was just in LA, and Jim, I'd been in LA. So when I joined the national tour of Miss Saigon in '95, I was like in downtown LA for 10 months. And then the other times I've been in LA for coaching conferences, I flew into LAX and I took a bus right to the Marriott nearby. When I was in LA this last December to officiate a wedding, I saw the mountains for the first time out there.
Nice, huh?
Cast a spell upon me. It really did. And I'm like, wow, this expanded my awareness of, like, it made me breathe differently. So
I get that from the ocean.
Yeah.
The ocean, for me, growing up near it and by it, and we're by it now, there's just something about the expansiveness, the power that it gives life, and it has a rhythm, a tide. The sun rises from it, the sun sets in it, and it provides enjoyment and refreshment. And when you're barefoot walking, in the sand, touching the sand and the earth, and then in it, and it's moving you around. And I say often that it can wipe you out in 2 seconds if it wants to, but I pay great respect to it. And we have sort of this mutual relationship that it provides me great joy and enjoyment, and I, respect it. And the ocean, something about the ocean for me that just, when I'm near it, boom, Zenville.
I'll never forget when I was 13 years old, my parents, for a Christmas gift, sent me to Puerto Rico to visit with the Vincenti family. Mr. Vincenti was a colleague of my dad's at Abbott Laboratories at their facility in Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. And I was 13 years old, and Mr. Vincenti and his 2 kids took me on a boat. I was 13-year-old chubby Charlie. Took me on a boat and took me way out into the Caribbean to this little coral island. We played around on this coral island and we got on the boat to come back. And dolphins and octopus, like 2 or 3 octopi, followed the boat all the way back.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
You didn't see that in Chicago.
No.
Yeah.
It was really, really amazing.
That's right. Yeah. It's cool stuff, isn't it?
I mean, you do have Lake Michigan right there. You know, in Lake Michigan.
That when I was in Milwaukee, I saw it. I'm like, holy cow, this has a life unto itself.
Yeah.
It is a living, breathing thing. And I find it fascinating. I find things like that fascinating. We were actually on a TV shoot in Milwaukee, and the crew was like, yeah, so big deal. It's water. It's a lake. I'm like, yeah, but look at the size of it. It's like 600 feet deep at certain points. I think it's frigid and people try to swim across and sail. And it's just larger than me and us. And sometimes I like things that are larger than me. You know what I mean? I like to pay heed to and have respect and hand over control to things that are more expansive and larger than I am, and let it have the power as well. I think it's very liberating and releasing, but it's also it's comforting too. It's cool when you see Lake Michigan with its waves too. I mean,
when I was just in California, I was staying with my best friend Suzanne, who was teaching at Cal Arts down there in LA. She took me hiking twice. And the first time she took me on this pathway, and we went up and up and up this mountain. And it was just, the air was unbelievable.
Yeah, whole other
around. And I was just like, the inspiration and the awe that I felt. And then we went up to a certain point and you look down and it's like, there's the ocean. Wow. It was just incredible. You see these hawks flying around. Oh, and then there's a little snake scurrying around in the dirt over to your left over there, tiny little snake. It was just so amazing. Really, really.
And it's all around us. Well, I have been telling people during the thick of the pandemic.
Yeah.
YouTube doesn't like when we say that word too loudly.
Well,
but it triggers all kinds of craziness. But during the height of that, and we're still in elements of it now, but during the thick of it, I was telling people, because, you know, when I started the show, a lot of people were reaching out, writing very deep, inspiring notes to me about how this show and this series, they were, and they still are, turning to it for solace, for entertainment, for laughs, for all these things that we do, but really pouring their hearts out, how it's been helping them get through the day-to-day news events and all the things that are going on. They turn this show on live or later, and it just does something. There's a vibe or whatever that they share with me, beautifully written things that they pour their hearts out to express. And I just found that for me, in hearing that, it just gives me this continued desire to do something that they were asking, was I just going to do it during the, and was this just a temporary thing? And I just said, you know what, it's become sort of a gift. It's been an ongoing gift, this community that we've created here. And
well, what you've been able to do, Jim, is, which is also one thing that I do, is that more and more and more people are able to tune into this reality that even when times are hard, even when there are situations going on in our country and elsewhere in the world that are incredibly painful and deplorable, we as individuals, partners, families, businesses, even in the midst of those challenges and situations, we are allowed to thrive. we are allowed to still appreciate and enjoy ourselves. Sometimes, though, in order to get to that space, we also need to allow ourselves to cry. Sometimes we need to allow ourselves to go to a therapist and that can help us get the anger out, right? Sometimes we need to have our best friends circle around us and just hold us as we cry. Sometimes we need to maybe take a different type of a course. So, or, I mean, I just got done studying, taking 2 certification courses with Chopra Global. And, I'm always reading and studying something because I've got this vessel here named Charles Frederick West that is so not done. There's so much for us to be able to do, but we need to be able to allow ourselves, even in the midst of the challenges, to know that it is okay for us to shine. It's not disrespectful. I don't believe it's not disrespectful for us to be able to show up and shine a bright light and still be happy, still be joyous, still celebrate, my own accomplishments or celebrate my mom's life, celebrate something, even in the midst of the challenges. Because the thing is, though, is that I don't live my life with my eyes closed anymore. I show up and I am also of service. So I don't have to be consumed energetically with sorrow and anger and feeling like this world is just falling apart. Because there are those of us that are the light seekers, that are the people that will continue to share that vision. And I'm just so grateful to be able to share this moment right now with you.
Right back at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right back at you, and with all the fabulous viewers internationally watching and coming along on the train of positivity here tonight. It's been extraordinary, and we thank you for all the expressions of just inspiration that the viewers have been sharing as they comment, and those who will comment later, I'm sure, on our YouTube channel that watch it later. It's really been fantastic, and I'm so glad that you had some time in your busy schedule to join us and impart some of your wit and wisdom with us, Charles. And we'll definitely keep the porch light on for you. Yeah, you're welcome back anytime. Any final words about our conversation or the show this evening, or anything you wanted to share with us?
Whew. If there is anyone out there that is hurting, if there is anyone out there that is struggling, confused, frustrated, I get it. I understand. You're not alone. You are not alone. There are people that are right here, right now. We may not be physically together in the same room, but energetically, Jim and I can feel your presence, and you matter. That's so important, is for each and every one of us to know that you matter and that you are crucial. The universe, God, Allah, Buddha, higher power has given you specific and unique gifts, talents, intuition. I call them superpowers. Has given you unique superpowers to be able to make a difference on this planet, to be able to enjoy yourself, whether it's raising children or just having a pet, having a cat or a dog or a pet parrot, and to love yes, Gail, to love your village, right? And to be able to make that connection, the way that Gail, I know Gail very well, and the way that she shows up in her life, the way that Jill shows up in her life. We are planting seeds of hope. We are planting seeds of intention. But the Charlie that I used to be, the Charles that I used to be, had all of these invisible puppet strings that were connected to him.
Were they self-imposed or were they created by
They
others?
got attached, they got self-imposed by outside circumstances.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
each one of these puppet strings were pulling me, were making me do this little dance. And
You were trying to please everybody.
yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you start to do the healing work and you start to snip those puppet strings. And you know
Mhm.
what happens? You lose your balance at first because you've been dancing with those puppet strings for so long.
And some of those people that have been pulling those strings disappeared,
Uh-huh. Yep. Indeed.
which can actually be terrific because you didn't have to tell them to. They just
Yeah.
backed up and went that way
Yeah.
because they
Yes.
couldn't pull those strings anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like one of the things also that I do with people is I help them snip their invisible puppet strings. But before you can snip them, you have to identify what the conditioning was, what happened that planted them in you. So that when you snip them, you don't lose your balance.
You know what would have been another great name for your company?
What's that?
No Strings Attached.
Ooh.
Write that down.
Mm. I got no strings to wear me down, to make me fret or make me frown. I got no strings as long as you can see. I got no strings on me.
What's the other one? Puppet on a String?
What's that one? What's that?
Yeah, yeah. I forget how it goes, but it's a very popular
Oh,
one
I got
too.
the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life. I'm in love.
Good
Yep.
stuff. That's a
Mm-hmm.
perfect way to wrap this episode, my friend. This was really terrific. We chatted for a mere, and a New York minute, it always goes by, 2 hours and 12 minutes. And it never feels like that. I know for me, and the guests always say it doesn't feel like that for them because it's just conversational. We let it roll, and it's 2 hours and 12 minutes that we chatted. Could you believe that?
I believe it. Yeah. I mean, we went there, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. You
I,
know,
yeah.
yeah. And I would love to come back. I would love
Yes.
for
Spread the
other.
word about our show to others you think might want to pop on and from all different backgrounds.
Oh, I'll be sending you some other people for sure. Mhm.
That's it. Have your people call my people.
Okay.
Just do it direct.
Let's
Yeah,
do
just
it.
as we did this, right? Amazing, my friend. Really fun, entertaining, inspiring, all the different things that we throw into the mix here at the Jim Master Show Live. And I appreciate you spending all this time with us and being so open and real and authentic and fun and light and deep and all those things. Be human. Yes,
Be
be
human.
human.
Be human. Be human.
You
Right?
you were never in Technicolor Dreamcoat, huh?
Well, you know what's so great is that your opening montage
Yes.
with you're
Yes.
wearing this blue jacket, and while I was watching your opening montage of the artist, creating
Yes.
it,
Right.
like, well, I just wore the perfect jacket for tonight.
It was perfect. That's intuition.
Well, yes,
That is
sir.
that is intuition.
Yep.
Thanks for being with us, my friend. Again, spread the word about the show, and we shall do the same with you
All the
and
best to you and all the lovelies out there.
all the lovelies.
See you all
That's
next
right.
time.
It's Lovely Hall here at the Jim Master
Yes.
Show Live. It was awesome. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And you be well and continued blessings and joy and success in your life. We'll definitely stay in touch. I'm sure we'll break bread at some point. And
Absolutely. Please
all
let
the
me know
viewers.
coming back to New York anytime.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And all the viewers have been commenting and they all just loving it. All these great comments here.
DivineSparkCoaching.net is my website. On Instagram, Charles West Divine Spark Coaching, and then I have my uh, professional page on Facebook as well, which is just Divine Spark Coaching as well.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. It's been a divine spark and a divine time tonight on the Jim Master Show Live.
I feel divinely sparked.
You take care, my friend. Thanks for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Okay. It was really a pleasure and great fun.
My pleasure. You too. You too.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, as I say to all the guests, go stretch those legs.
Oh, I will. I will. Thank you.
Get that circulation going.
I will.
You take care, my friend.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye now. Charles West here on the Jim Master Show Live, noted life coach and hypnotherapist, as well as corporate wellness coach and Broadway actor and singer extraordinaire, and lots more, gracing us with his presence and providing some wit and wisdom and some terrific, methods and techniques to maybe something you can implement even right now into your life. If you're not feeling so hot about things that are going on in your world, so hot about yourself. Hey, we talk about it a lot here on the show. Even though we have lots of entertainment and lots of all kinds of things on this series, as I said when we created this show, it was going to be something for everybody. We're not niche. We don't stick to just one topic, one thing, one genre. Those old school talk shows, they had all kinds of guests that would come in from all different backgrounds. I mean, 1 minute Johnny Carson would be talking to Jimmy Stewart, and then the next guest was that lady that was 90 years old that collected peanuts or something. I mean, variety, that's what it's about. And this was really cool. And we really appreciate Charles sharing elements of his life here on the Jim Master Show Live. And as I say, we don't script any of these shows. They're all, nothing. Some people, when they do stuff, it's all scripted and every word is predicted. And you can even see when you watch them, they're reading scripts. They wrote something out and they're just reading it. He is a great author. He is a great this. He is iconic. He is that. That's not what we do here at the show. We don't do it that way. It's all comes from the heart and soul. And with all of you watching live and interacting, cool stuff. It makes it even more enriching for all of us, gang, with these epic broadcasts. Our newest lovity tonight, Gail Turner, joining us, and she's been really on fire tonight with her comments. We love it. Thanks, Jim. Beautiful time together. I agree. And good night and be blessed. I agree as well. You guys are fantastic. Really great show. And we really appreciate our very special guest joining us tonight. Again, Charles West, life coach, hypnotherapist, Broadway actor. Really cool to have him on the show. Earlier in the day as well, gang, if you didn't see the episode, we had an episode earlier today, which was really fantastic. We had the stars and creators of the new web series. This was really fun. So we did 2 shows. This was a double lovely day. The stars and creators of the new comedy web series, Jade and Jaded. If you didn't see that, Jade and Sarah were with us. That was a really, really terrific show. We loved it. If you didn't see the episode this week with Lucy Arnaz, yes, the one and only, and dear friend, it was a very poignant, fun, real, authentic, inspiring conversation with Lucy. Talked about a lot of different things, her concerts, her passions, her family, of course, her parents, Lucio Baldez Arnaz, but just lots more than just that, of course. She was iconic. Joanna Gleason was with us as well, Tony Award-winning actress and singer. You've seen her in so many shows. Hello, Larry, Friends. I mean, iconic movies and stage performances. Lots of cool stuff. And we had so much fun last night with the stars and creators of the sitcom Ben and Tony. If you didn't see that episode, we had about 6 guests on all at once. And it was amazing. You can see these episodes and all of the episodes, almost 700 of them as of today, on the Jim Masters Show on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. It's the channel you're watching right now. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that red button there. There's no cost for that. Subscribe and enjoy. And if you enjoyed this episode, do that. Give it a thumbs up like. Yeah, there's a little icon there that is a thumb. It's an upward thumb on our YouTube channel next to this episode. Click it. lets us know you enjoyed this episode of the Jim Master Show live, and we appreciate that. And definitely leave a comment for us on the YouTube channel. I know you like to do it in chat, but also leave a comment on the channel itself underneath the episode, because that helps us grow and expand what we're doing here even more for all of you, And that's what we like doing. You know, we've been celebrating our 2-year anniversary in almost 700 episodes, and there's been some extraordinary guests. If you didn't see the epic 2-hour plus episode of the Jim Master Show Live that aired this past Sunday, check it out. It was our 2-year anniversary celebration with special surprise guests, lots of tributes, lots of interactivity with our international audience. That was a fun episode. There are a few people that will sprinkle in that sent tributes along the way, which we really appreciate that. Some of our previous guests. And here's a couple of them now to put smiles on your faces.
Hello, lovedies. Hello, Jim Masters. It's Doug Shapiro and Chico. Congratulations on 2 years of serving the people and telling the stories. Enjoy everything. Have a well-lived day.
We learned that he will stay on his shoulder when he's fed popcorn. So when he's a guest on the show again, Doug has to make sure there's popcorn in the room there. Here's another great guest, Lacey Carpenter, who's been on our show a couple of times. Wonderful guest from Nashville, fantastic fiddler and violinist, and so much more. And she had these words.
I was playing for Jim Masters on his 2-year anniversary and his 660th show. Happy anniversary. You deserve all the love and levity and light in the world. Keep shining on, and I always love being on your show. Keep it up. 2 years, hopefully many, many more. Bye.
The wonderful Brad Forenza, producer, director, writer, actor, so much more in New York, put together something really creative and very cool. If you didn't see it, I'll just show it to you, and you'll see what they did. Follow along. It's really cool. I guess they took the vibe of our show and they tell a little story in this tribute clip. And I think it's very well done. Here's Brad.
Hi, Jim. Happy anniversary from Brad Forenza and everyone at Around the Sun. In honor of your 2nd anniversary, we are going to play a little game today called 3 Degrees of the Jim Masters Show, as it relates to Around the Sun. 3 degrees. Your guest, Karen Grasso, was in Wyatt Earp with Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman was in Get Shorty with James Gandolfini. James Gandolfini starred in The Sopranos, along with Vincent Pastore and Maureen Van Zant from Around the Sun.
2 degrees. Your guest, Melissa Manchester, was in For the Boys with James Caan. James Caan was in Chapter 2 with Marsha Mason, who bookends Around the Sun. Also bookending Around the Sun is Austin Pendleton, whose cast members from The Reunion were guests on the Jim Master Show, which makes for 1 degree of separation.
What happened here? And finally, Jim, you welcomed Around the Sun onto your show, and for that, I am very grateful. Happy anniversary, and good night.
Wasn't that cool? I mean, they really took some time to put that together, and I think it was absolutely fantastic. My buddy Neil Byrne in the very popular group Celtic Thunder, as well as Byrne and Kelly with Ryan Kelly. They're great friends. I've known them for years. I've interviewed them on public television here in the United States, and they've been guests on our show multiple times. Neil had these kind words he wanted to share.
Well, hello, Jim, from a sunny County Wexford here. Believe it or not, it's the sun is splitting the trees today. More importantly, I wanted to wish you the very, very best and huge congratulations on a 2-year anniversary of your incredible show. I've been on it twice in the last 2 years, Jim. You asked me back again, and I jumped at the chance because you know what? I've been on many, many shows over the years, but yours, it's like sitting in your living room having a chat. And the difference is, Jim, is that you're interested in the people that you're interviewing. And it's just like a chat. And that's why I love you and I love your show. I really do. Listen, the best for the next 2 years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, I think it'll just go on and on and on as long as you want it to, because it's just a wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you very much for having me on those couple of occasions. And please, God, we'll drop in again soon. Thanks, Jim. Take care. God bless.
Very, very cool and very kind of him to take time there from beautiful Ireland to send that along. That was really, really something very, very special. Some of these are just, they're all terrific. And I really appreciate everybody sending these. Sterling Meyer, who believes in manifesting your dreams and so much more. She's extraordinary. She had these words.
Congratulations, Gym Masters. You've got another year to celebrate your awesome TV show, Gym Masters TV. It's Sterling Meyer, manifestation coach, and I've had the honor of being your guest a couple of times on your show. So I just want to say hello and congratulations again, Jim. Keep up the good work. We're going to be celebrating for a long time, for many years to come.
That's very kind of her, and I love sharing that with all of you as well. And there's many more. We'll sprinkle them in, as we go along. But thanks, everybody. Marianne Alder was with us last night. You remember her from Guiding Light, The Edge of Night, and so much more. Great soap operas and lots of great shows. And she's a wonderful comedian as well. And she was a guest last night with us. And she was also a guest a couple of weeks earlier. And she had these words.
Hey, Gym Masters, Marianne Ald here, wishing you a very, 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 very happy second anniversary of your show. It's so much fun to watch, and it's even more fun to be on, which I can attest to, having been a guest. Because you do your homework. I saw clips, you came up with clips that I haven't seen from The Edge of Night in like years. I don't even remember some of those scenes, but you're very thorough. So anyway, happy anniversary. And here's wishing you many, many, many more years of amazing success. And have me back on your show. It was fun. Bye.
And we did. She was on last night, which was really fantastic. Gang, you guys are the best. Gail Turner, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Really, really beautiful. And again, you're now a Lovity. And we can't wait to see more of you here on the show, and spread the word, Gail, about our show. Tell everybody you know about it. And if you'd like to binge watch, there's almost 700 episodes in our binge watching archive that you can absolutely enjoy. Jane in Sweden says the anniversary show was fantastic and so fun. Thank you very much, Jane. In Sweden, where it's 3:30 in the morning, something like that. She's a real trooper. Congratulations, Jim, from Isigari, who's watching in Barcelona, Spain. She's one of our longtime lovelies as well. Nice to see you, Isigari. We love when you're here. What an incredible journey Charles had to find his way from a rather sad childhood to a man who's making his mark on this world. I am inspired by him. Perfect. That is well said, Maureen, and I'm glad that you are. And Gail says, I am now a subscriber. Perfect. She went the extra mile. I love it. That's very kind of you, Gail, and invite your friends and family to join us as well. They're all welcome to join us here. Thank you again, Jim, for always being so amazing. I know that you and Charles were going to experience a wonderful synergy. Have a great night, everyone. Lots of love. XOXOXO. From Jill Jason, our friend Jill, Jason Communications, Master Your Power. She's a lovity as well, an absolute lovity. And yes, Merlin, we are definitely going to do that. We are absolutely going to do that. And we must do that. So we're going to do that, I think, starting right now. You guys are the best. Thanks for being with us in this episode of the Gym Master Show Live, Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show Series. Now we have a little bit of a ritual here. We do not say goodbye. We say see you later. We say ciao and hasta la vista and Auf Wiedersehen and sayonara, shalom, cheers, and catch you later and all the rest. But we don't say goodbye because we'll be back here on the next episode of the Gym Masters Show Live. We thank you for all this time. We thank you for being with us and letting everybody know that we exist, that we're here, and we're doing our darndest to create some cool things for you on our show and our series. That's what we love doing. And hopefully it's doing something for you. Hopefully you're just enjoying it, kicking back, relaxing, and, hopefully it entertains you, inspires you, and all the rest. Whatever it is you get from this series, just the fact that you're here, we thank you, and you. We're very grateful that you're here as often as you are. All right, gang. That's the wrap for now, but we will see you on the next one. And great joy and blessing to everybody. 3:30 a.m. They're in Sweden. And love and emojis from Missy in Barcelona, Spain. Doesn't get any better than that. Gang, you be well, okay? Thanks for being with us and hanging with us on this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. See you on the next one, okay? Spread the word about our show. That means a lot to us. Take care and be well. Have a good time wherever you are, watching around the world, because we have viewers that watch from everywhere. I mean, every day we get viewers that come in from, and I think it's cool because they're like, hey, I'm watching and I'm from this city and this town and this state and this country, from Japan, and we've had from Spain and Switzerland and Austria, Italy, Greece, France, England, Ireland, Finland, Iceland, of course, Canada and the United States, Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Hawaii, the Philippines, the whole world, global. And I think that's really cool and very, very special. Very, very special. Maureen says, sweet dreams and lovelies, tight love, lovely hugs to each of you. Absolutely. To you as well, gang. To you as well. All right, that's a wrap. If you guys want to know about our Lovity Cruise, you can inquire within. We have a Lovity Cruise going to Bermuda next year from New York. Everybody's been asking for a cruise, so we put a cool one together with our travel agency friends. And if you want to know more, just let us know, and we'll tell you more about it. JimMastersTV@gmail.com. JimMastersTV@gmail.com. If you'd like to know more about our fabulous Lovity Cruise to Bermuda on the Norwegian Prima, the brand new luxurious ship from the Norwegian Cruise Lines. Gonna be cool. Gonna be nice. All right. We say it 50 times. We mean it this time. Thanks for being with us, gang. We love you all. Take care. Be well. And thanks for joining us in this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. Cheers.